everybody, Ellie here for WhoCulture. Merry Christmas. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas day and enjoyed the church on Ruby Road. And not only were we treated to that wonderful Christmas special, but we also were treated to a trailer for the upcoming season 1 of Ncuti Gatwa's first run as the Doctor. So we figured we should probably break down that trailer and talk about all the things that we've seen and have been teased. So let's have a look at the trailer. So we open the trailer with a very close shot of the 15th Doctor's face. Not a lot we can really say about that other than it's very close to his face. What I will say though is this idea or this use of extreme close-ups is something that we saw a lot during the 13th Doctor's run. Not the biggest fan of these extreme close-ups. I think when used sparingly they can be really powerful and meaningful, but I think maybe they were just slightly overused. So next we get a good look at the Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, in one of his many costumes. I don't know what it is about it. They've kind of got a 70s vibe to them, maybe? I really like this costume. It's kind of colourful, it's fun. I think the costume of the Doctor is something that's really, really interesting anyway. It says a lot about the character, the way they dress. And I'm very excited to see how Ncuti Gatwa's costumes aid his character. I would assume that this is a shot from the first episode of season 1. Why do I say that? Because he's wearing the same clothes that we have literally just seen him in at the end of the church on Ruby Road. So I would assume that we're going straight into the action, they get in the TARDIS and they go straight into danger. It's like in the anniversary specials. Poor Donna was in the same clothes for God knows how many days because everything just happened so quickly. So I think that this, whatever the events are in this episode, it's immediately after we leave the characters at the end of the Christmas special. We also saw a clip of the upcoming episode on Unleashed, and again the Doctor was wearing the same outfit that we see here in this shot. So putting 2 and 2 together, I would say this is from the first episode of season 1. So next up we have a shot of the Doctor running down a corridor. Now, Russell T Davies's first era was famous for its running down corridor sequences. So I'm very excited for the return of those, and also we have had some brilliant Murray Gold compositions over running down corridor sequences. So I'm very excited to hear what other concoctions he's created to go over these iconic scenes. Obviously it was a running joke actually in the first era by companions that there's a lot of running involved with the Doctor, and I don't doubt for a second that this is something that Russell T Davies is going to explore and kind of joke about in the upcoming seasons as well. Also from this shot we can see that the Doctor is wearing a period-appropriate outfit. This is from the Beatles' Abbey Road episode, which we know is the second episode, and it's called The Devil's Cord. So again, I'm very intrigued by this episode. I'm very excited to see this story as well. This version of the Doctor seems to have multiple costumes. He seems to be wearing a different outfit in every single episode. That's something we haven't explored much with the Doctor. The Doctor always wears the same thing. And I know that that becomes iconic, but I also feel like it would be really interesting to see this Doctor explore a new wardrobe and change his clothes, because that's something that's kind of always bugged me a little bit. Like, the companion always has a different outfit, but the Doctor has always got the same clothes on. It's like either you don't wash your clothes or you've just got a rail full of the same outfit multiple times. I also think it kind of gives the episodes each their own flavour, especially when he dresses kind of appropriately for the place that he's landed. There's also a lot of attention to detail in this scene. So if you look at the fire extinguishers that are on the wall as the Doctor is running, they're not the typical shape that we nowadays are used to, and they're more of a cone shape, which is something that's more appropriate for the kind of 60s setting of the Beatles. So again, it's just very strong attention to detail here to make sure that even the fire extinguishers on the wall are period appropriate for the setting. So next up we have the Doctor with a whistle round his neck and a white t-shirt. He looks a bit like a PE teacher, I'm not gonna lie. But this is actually not the first time that we've seen the Doctor wearing a whistle. Not necessarily this type of whistle, but the 4th Doctor used to use a whistle to kind of summon K9. Take what you will from that. I don't think we're suddenly going to have K9 back, but it's nice to have the Doctor has used a whistle before. More importantly though, the red-blue colour scheme of the TARDIS behind the Doctor in this shot. This is what I love about the new TARDIS. Yes, it looks very white in its generic, kind of general, but the fact that it can change colour, I really like that. It's kind of like mood lighting. So we've got the blue and the red here. Later on in the trailer, it's very purpley. Purple is my favourite colour, if you didn't know. So I like that the TARDIS can change colours to kind of fit the mood or fit the setting. I really love that design element of the TARDIS. Also in the scene, the Doctor says, "Into the vortex." Now we know, in the opening title sequence, the TARDIS hitting the time vortex and sparking is a relevant thing to the upcoming season, or to the story in some way. So the fact that we've been told that the time vortex and sparks is relevant, and we have a line here that says into the vortex. I'm wondering if those two things are connected, and it's something to do with going into the vortex. So then we have a shot of the TARDIS on a cliff top. Did anyone else think of the power of the Doctor? There's kind of a shape towards the right of the shot. At first it kind of looks like maybe it's smoke or something, but upon further inspection it's just a really bendy tree. What I really like about seeing this shot as well is we've had a real variety of settings so far just in this trailer. I know that in previous years we've kind of been limited to either being on a council estate or on a spaceship or in a quarry. And while all those things probably will still come up at some point, we've got a real variety here, and that's exciting. I think combining that with all the different costumes as well, it seems like each of these stories are going to be very distinct and very different, which is very exciting. Next we have a shot of Ruby, very lit up, and in the background of this shot we seem to have some tanks that seem to have babies in them. Now there have been rumours flying around that the first episode of season 1 will revolve around evil space babies. This would certainly back up that theory. There does seem to be babies in jars behind there. I quite like the idea of that. It feels very Doctor Who, very silly, very strange, very Russell T Davies. It feels very much like, here's episode 1, we've got evil space babies, this is Doctor Who, deal with it. If that is the case, I'm very excited. Again, I would say that this is a shot from episode 1, judging by Ruby's outfit. It's the same clothes we've seen her in at the end of the Church on Ruby Road, so I would say this is from episode 1. So the next shot is the first shot we see from the kind of period episode, the Regency episode. We also knew that Jonathan Groff was going to be starring in this episode, and we see him in this trailer here. Obviously, if you don't know who Jonathan Groff is, he's the voice of Kristoff in Frozen, and he's been in a number of other films as well, but he's also a star of musical theatre of Broadway. In this scene we see him doing some Regency dancing with the Doctor, so maybe those dancing skills are being put to good use. This is also the episode that is being co-written by Loki season 1 director Kate Herron and Bryony Redman. I think I mentioned that in a video previously. So there is a lot of excitement and anticipation around this particular episode. I think all the costumes look great. Again, we've got another costume on the Doctor here. I like that the Doctor is getting on board with the dressing for the appropriate time and place as well. So then we have a shot of Indira Varma. Now, interestingly, Indira Varma already has played a role within the Whoniverse. She played the role of Susie in Torchwood. It's highly unlikely that these characters will be connected. However, I do wonder if there will be some sort of acknowledgement or throwaway line, similar to when we had the introduction of Gwen Cooper and they asked if she was from an old Cardiff family, just to draw that connection between the fact that Eve Miles played the character in Torchwood but also played a character in The Unquiet Dead. Maybe they will, maybe they'll completely ignore it. I don't know. Susie wasn't as important to Torchwood as Gwen was, so she was only in a few episodes. I don't know. So the character that Varma is playing is called the Duchess. We have been told that she is very relevant and important and plays a very pivotal role here. So Russell T Davies described it as, a whole new audience will be hiding behind the settee when the Duchess unleashes her terror. So I would assume that she's playing a villainous role. The fact that they're going to be hiding behind the settee makes me think that the look of her is a disguise of some sort. So perhaps she's going to be kind of an unassuming character to start with, and then there'll be a twist or a reveal that she's actually evil. So next up we have the Doctor with Jonathan Groff's character again, and he calls him a cad. I thought he said coward. Danny has informed me that he thought he'd said a very different word, but the word he used was cad. Now, for those of you who don't know, because I didn't know what it meant, we looked it up, and the Cambridge Dictionary describes it as a man who behaves badly or dishonestly, especially to women. So it seems like a very time-appropriate insult for the setting of the episode. You don't have people in the 21st century calling each other cads. So then we have shots again from the Beatles and Abbey Road episode. Again, I mentioned previously we have the purple colour scheme of the TARDIS. I love it. We also get a glimpse of the Beatles in the episode, and the Doctor obviously saying Abbey Road Studios. I'm very intrigued to see who will be playing the roles and how well they play the roles. I'm very intrigued by it, and I love the costumes of the Doctor and Ruby in this episode. I am a sucker for 50s, 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s style. I love it. I'm a very big fan of vintage style, so these particular outfits, absolutely on board with. They are my favourite outfits I've seen so far. So the next shot, we seem to have the Doctor's foot I assume on top of some sort of green glowy disc. Now, there have been a lot of rumours flying around that there will be an episode that centres around the Doctor being stuck on a landmine. This seems like such an intriguing premise for an episode. I'm very, very gripped by this idea. Typically, Doctor Who does have like bottle episodes where it's scaled down a lot, there's not so many explosions, and it's kind of less complicated for production if it's kind of centered and filtered down into kind of one location. If you think of like Blink, for example, something like that. So this could be the bottle episode of season 1, or we could be totally wrong. But that premise does sound very, very interesting. So let me go back to this shot on the cliff with the kind of bendy tree situation going on, and there's kind of a figure lurking in the distance. Obviously, there are so many possibilities about who this person is. But given that the first shot that we see kind of focuses on Ruby, then there's a lot of assumption that this person lingering in the background is relevant to Ruby. So could it be her mother? Could it be Mrs. Flood? Could it be Ruby herself? In our WhatsApp group, we joked that it looked like William Hartnell, which is highly unlikely, but David Bradley could return. Who knows? I don't think that's who it is, but it does look a little bit like that. It gives very much like the same vibes as the Watcher, who obviously kind of was watching and stalking the 4th Doctor and then merged with the 4th Doctor to become the 5th Doctor. And to be honest, I wouldn't put it past Russell T Davies to bring back something like that. I mean, he brought the Toymaker back, for Christ's sake, so literally anything is possible. So then we get our first glimpse of Jinx Monsoon as well. It's only one shot. I would assume, judging by the outfit, that Jinx Monsoon is relevant to the Beatles story. I feel like perhaps there's some sort of, maybe similar to the Giggle, there's some sort of influence happening, a subconscious influence on the Beatles' music, some sort of message being inputted in the music. I do like the idea that music is very relevant at the moment. Obviously, in the Church on Ruby Road, we did have like a musical number. We have been told that the music on the jukebox in the TARDIS is relevant, and so obviously when you've got characters like Jinx Monsoon, who's wearing kind of piano-styled outfits, you've got the Beatles there, you've got Broadway stars like Jonathan Groff, it does make me wonder what musical elements we're going to see explored in this season. Very excited by this. Oh, and then we have a shot of the Doctor, and it looks very much like he's holding a guitar, so we're going to have some sort of like rocking out session with the Beatles. We're going to channel our inner 12th Doctor and start playing the guitar. Who knows? So then we get some glimpses of some of the new monsters that we're going to be seeing in this upcoming season. Now, there was one that some people have suggested looked like a Vervoid, but we really hope that's not the case. But it also made me go, what in the Demogorgon is that? So maybe they're channeling their inner Stranger Things and trying to go with what's cool. I'm all for taking creative ideas, but let's not just copy Stranger Things. Having said that, the new monsters do look great. I mean, we've seen those kind of like cockroachy slug looking ones. They remind me a little bit of the Bane from the Sarah Jane Adventures. When I then looked up the Bane, they didn't actually look that similar, but when I saw them, they immediately made me think of the Bane. It does also look slightly like in the shot of those creatures that the guy in the blue might be controlling them. So is this a story of humans controlling the aliens, or are the aliens controlling the humans, or none of the above? We have Mel. Mel is back. We already knew that Mel would be returning, but we see her here. We see a shot of Mel and the Doctor on a bike, on a motorbike, or moped, whatever it is, and the Doctor going, faster, Mel! And we know the Doctor is capable of riding a bike. We've seen it in the Bells of St. John, but I think Mel's doing a much better job here. We don't really know what's going on in this scene, but it does seem like they're very urgently trying to either get to something or away from something, so I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if, like, there's Daleks just out of shot or something. I don't know. Something like that would happen. Then we jump back to Jonathan Groff again. It's slightly odd here, though, because we have Regency Jonathan Groff with a space gun. So is he a wrong'un? There has been some suggestion that this character is going to be like the new Captain Jack Harkness, and they kind of team up. So pure speculation. Nobody knows. Well, some people know. Russell T Davies knows. I don't know. But now let's jump back, talking about returning characters. We've got Rose back. Rose in the Unit HQ. So there's so many questions here. Are we going to see the return of 14 and Donna? Who knows? Is Rose working for Unit now? Again, who knows? I would assume that even though they're not in the trailer here, the fact that we're at Unit HQ suggests that Shirley and Kate, we know Kate is returning, she's been spotted filming, we know Kate will be in the season, but I would suggest that she is probably in this scene that we're seeing here with Rose. So again, lots of returning characters, so the show is very much remaining connected to its past, while still moving forward. Obviously, the question then as well is that we've got the return of Rose. Is Rose going to suddenly join the TARDIS team? Personally, I don't think so. I think we will see more of Rose, but I don't think Rose will become a recurring character as like a companion. Also, in the background there. A little blurry, but is that Colonel Sexy there? Is that Colonel Sexy Unit Agent? Can't remember what me and Sean decided we were going to call him. And then we're in the TARDIS and we have the return of the finger snap. I love that we have stuck with this. You know, it could have very much been a throwaway line that came in Silence in the Library or Forest of the Dead and ignored, but it seems to have been stuck with. We saw it throughout the rest of the 11th Doctor used it. Many other times it's been used, and I like that we've stuck with that, not least because it was first mentioned by River Song. Anything to do with River Song makes me happy. And that's everything that we caught, but we may well have missed something, so if you think that you've spotted something that we didn't, then do let us know in the comments down below and speculate away about all these mysteries. In the meantime, make sure that you go and check out our Ups and Downs review of The Church on Ruby Road, and keep your eyes peeled for more content covering that episode and future stuff as well. I've been Ellie for WhoCulture, and in the words of River Song herself, goodbye, sweeties.